Guys, do me a favor, hit the like button. Did you get my bold predictions? I want to do these for Zander. Big Z. So I'm on with John. By the way, I hope you guys enjoyed Jimmy Johnson and Coach Tony Dungy today. I believe we're getting on tomorrow. Bruce Arians, the senior executive of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We'll get him on. And I know this, that Ice Cube's coming on Friday at 3:30. And Kevin Frazier from Entertainment Tonight worked with me at Fox Sports. I believe he's coming on Wednesday. That'll be at 4:30. So we got a big week lined up here for you. Hit that like button. We appreciate all. Without further ado, the number one PR man for Nolan Smith. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen, the co-host of Birds 365, our man, Big Z, the star of the show, Zander Krause. How you doing, brother?
What's up, Big Sills? How you doing, brother?
Oh, good, man. Love the guests today, man. And
man. They were really awesome, man. I love listening to these guys join the show. You know, I was listening to Tony Dungy, and I have his book here. We've had it. His book is incredible. And the thing I love the most about Tony Dungy, and he told the story about back when he, first got to Tampa, is he really practices what he preaches. This entire book is about what he just explained about molding men and making an impact on people. And he follows a 7-step thing. I haven't read the whole book. Admittedly, I'm not the best reader in the world, but his book is really tremendous, and he was an amazing guest. But great job by you on both of those guys. Amazing stuff that we were able to have Hall of Fame level guys on JAKIB Sports. It's really an honor, and I hope everybody appreciates it because it's pretty dope.
You know what? You know what's crazy, Zander? I promise you. You know what I do? I text these guys the day of.
Oh, I know how it works. These dudes, that's what these dudes don't understand. I mean, these dudes love sales, all right? Other people got to go through PR guys and managers and agencies and all these different things to get them on. Sills drops them a text message, and I put a comment in the chat, Sills, because it was cool how you were telling a story post Tony Dungy, and you said you want to come back up because you could see him reacting to it. I put in the chat that a little production note for people is people all the time. That happens to you all the time, that your guest stick around almost until you take another break sometimes, and they listen to your show. They listen to what you say. And I think that's pretty cool. I mean, these aren't unbusy people. All right. These people are, these are Hall of Fame guys. They got things to do, people to talk to, all sorts of things to do, but they sit here and spend some time and listen to Big Sills talk. So it's pretty cool. Pretty big honor to have them on here.
Absolutely. And as we get closer to the draft, we're also working on Mel Kiper.
Ooh, that'd be good. I don't think we've ever had him.
No, I last time I had Mel on was about 7-8 years ago on my radio show back then. And I had him on.
He's recently called Howie a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, he did. And that's why I'm getting him on.
Yeah.
Also, too, he doesn't work at ESPN anymore, but I'm going to get Todd McShay on.
Oh, and I'll get Todd on. Todd?
I don't know I think he's working for an independent somewhere now.
Oh, he might be. I got to look it up.
But he used to be on ESPN as well. So I know him, but I know Mel Kiper a lot better than I do Todd. But I'm still working on both of those guys as we get closer to the upcoming NFL draft. Hey, by the way, before I get into the Big Sills bold predictions, which I know you'll hate.
Oh, no, I don't hate him. I'm just going off of last year's record of, hey, you're in a little bit of a cold streak.
Odds are on my side.
It's over.
Odds are on my side this time.
So are you saying you were the 2023 Eagles last year, and you're about to bounce back and have a Super Bowl season?
Oh, it's going to be.
All right. Listen, I like the confidence. I'd rather you be confident than not confident, but I'll fade Sills. I'll fade Sills this year.
Okay, I wrote down the top 10 edge rushers. Then we'll go into the bold predictions. Obviously, Abdul Carter is the number 2 prospect. He's the number 1 edge. However, no shot in hell at the Eagles because they're not moving up to get in that top 5 in any way whatsoever. And he's going in the top 5.
Yeah.
What about Mike Green, Marshall, number 12 prospect?
Love him.
You think they would move up to get him?
Love him. I love that player. Now he's in my head mentally. He's been ruled out because I'm like, I think he's going early. I don't know how early. Top 15, I think would be a home run for him. I think it should be higher. I think he's arguably a top 10 player in the draft, but probably not going to go top 10. Might be in that 10 to 15 range. It's going to take a lot, Sills, to move up, man. I mean, that high, because 32 is just not that valuable. So, you'd almost have to combine the equivalent of another first round value to get that high if you use like the Jimmy Johnson chart. So that would be tough to get to. But for a guy like that, like if they're really enamored and they really believe he can be a difference maker, I wouldn't rule it out because we've already talked about it. They need to maximize these picks, man. They need cheap production right now. That's what they need based on the contract. So if you can get cheap production specifically at the edge rusher position, which is one of the most expensive positions on the field, you're maximizing value there. So it wouldn't floor me if they did it, but I'd say it's unlikely because they do covet their picks and they'd have to send a lot of them to go up that high.
Let me deviate off this for just a second here. I got this from Dan Morgan, the general manager of, I can't post the spreadsheet. So what I could do was write down a couple names. And this is what I want people to understand when we're talking about some of the Eagle prospects. Like this kid, James Pierce, which is third number edge rusher. He's the 15th rated prospect in the draft. Now here's James Pierce. According to the Carolina Panthers, he could go anywhere from 8 to 28 to 36, depending how the draft falls.
I could see that. I could see him falling.
Here's Campbell, the Bama linebacker. He could go anywhere from 6 to 16 to 26. Walter Nolan, the Ole Miss DT, he can go anywhere from the 7th pick to the 18th pick to the 28th pick. Would they move up to spot 28, in your opinion, to get Walter Nolan if he's there?
I would do that.
Especially
if I was
with
the GM of the team,
picks,
I would do that.
Especially with the 20 picks they have this year and next year combined.
I would do that because I Walter Nolan right now is the guy I would want as the Philadelphia Eagles because I believe you're going to get more out of it. I know you called me the Nolan Smith, hype that, whatever. I like Nolan Smith. I think he's going to be a good player. I think he has the pedigree to be a good player. How will his body hold up? I think that's the biggest real question on him. But I think from a talent standpoint and an athleticism standpoint, I think Nolan showed me enough personally to believe in what he brings to the table. And I know you don't have a bunch of other guys, but I'm sorry, I'm not really sold on John. Or I think you kind of have this take as well as Josh Sweat being the headliner last year. I know he was a good player. I appreciate what he did for Philly, but I don't really view him as an irreplaceable guy. And if you get a little bit of production from Ojulari, from Uche, from Bryce Huff, if he can be a little bit better than he was last year, I think you can piecemeal that. If you get Walter Nolan, though, on that defensive tackle next to Jalen Carter, I think you're going to solidify that line, man, for a long time.
So this would make you feel good right here. Let's just say Josh Sweat's a B-plus player, and you get a bunch of these other guys that you just signed, and they give you C-plus effort. You'll take the collective group, not having to pay the $20 million,
right,
and the collective group, because that's not that much of a fall-off when you're talking C-plus, B- kind of guy,
right?
Because I agree with you. I don't think Josh Sweat's a superstar either. I think people have to be real. Like you're not going to improve everywhere in your roster every year. It just doesn't work like that. So with where the Eagles are right now, I'm not saying they're not going to prioritize edge, but I feel like we're a little better at the edge than we're not the. This isn't. I mean, I think we have some pass rush. Yeah, I mean, I think we have some pass rush. So. I like Walter Nolan, though. 28, Walter Nolan. Dude, give me that. Give me that. I would do that all day. Here's another one. Derek Harmon, Oregon, could go, defensive tackle, could go 17, 28, or 40. Just depending on how the board falls. The Alabama quarterback is skyrocketing. The O-linemen are probably going to be a run on some of these guys because they're the O-linemen in this draft are the safest picks.
Yeah, and the Eagles, they like their offensive linemen. They really do. And they've had 4. I mean, they don't really release that stuff, but it's been reported that 4 of their visits, and the only 4 we know so far, are all offensive linemen. I have the names here if you want me to read them to you. Marcus Mbout, Anthony Belton, Jalen Travis, and Josh Connerly. Those are the 4 names that have met with the Eagles on top 30 visits, all offensive linemen. So you can never rule out O-line, but I don't know, Sills. I was thinking about this. I know you got to take it 1 year at a time with older dudes. I could see Lane Johnson playing 3 more years. I really could.
It's all with his feet.
And he's going to do 2 more because he just got the guaranteed money.
Dude,
now he's 34.
It's going to be injuries.
And right. I mean, John talked about this morning. Like a couple of years ago, he was dealing with the ankle injury, and it almost seemed like he wanted to hang him up because it was just nagging him and nagging him and nagging him. He's been much healthier in the past couple of years, so I obviously hope he stays healthy, but talent ain't an issue. Fall off has not been an issue for Lane Johnson, so I could see him playing a little bit more there, and then you might not have to address tackle right away. I'm not saying don't get one in the chamber, but you probably don't need to draft his replacement right now if you got 3 years left.
Next 2 years, I don't have to. Right. I don't have to go down that lane. By the way, just for all of you guys out there, when you saw that NFLPA, that the trainers and the equipment and the guys in the training for the players and the care of the players, you have to explain to me then how a guy plays 15 years in BG, another guy plays 10, 12, 13 plus years in Kelsey, and another guy plays another decade plus in Fletcher Cox. How that athletic department is not one of the top. Dude, these are all 10 plus year guys.
Yeah.
How are they not taking care of their players? I think that's a bogus stat here.
Crazy. Who do you think, Sills, is the Eagles right now that could be the next of those big 4? Like
Mulatto.
Whole career here in Philly, retire in Philly. Eagles are happy to pay him through to the end, basically, and they hang up the cleats. That doesn't happen often. I mean, Brian Dawkins is arguably one of the greatest Eagles of all times. He didn't hang up the cleats here. Not many do hang up the cleats here. I think Jalen Carter and I think Mailata. I think you're right.
Mailata because he's a 7th round pick. He came from nowhere. He's got so much. Dude, he hasn't hit his best football yet.
Which is
insane. He's only been playing for 5 fucking years.
It's crazy. It really is.
I mean, he's got so much ahead of him. So here's another guy. Now here's Kenneth Grant. I think he's going to go high, but Kenneth Grant, Michigan, 5th pick, 18th pick, 32nd pick.
If he goes 32nd, you're moving up to get him. But I don't think he's going to fall that far, dude. 32nd for Kenneth Grant? I don't think so.
How about this one? Malachi Starks, Georgia, 5th pick, 22nd pick, 38th pick. Would you move out of the first round down to that number, around that number, and grab him at safety in the second round?
It depends. I mean, if all your edge and defensive tackle options that you like are gone, then yeah, maybe you pivot to addressing that. But if you still have, Izaraku or Landon Jackson or Walter Nolan or James Pierce or Shamar Stewart, any of these guys, and it all depends on how the Eagles rank them. I mean, it doesn't matter what I think of those players, but if those guys are still there, I have a hard time believing that they would value the safety over a defensive line player. I just think,
or offensive lineman.
Right. And remember, John did a great job bringing this up this morning with Howie. He said, if you listen to Howie, he hasn't lied to you at all. He's been very transparent. You just had to read the tea leaves. Early in the offseason, he said it's going to look a little unconventional. That meant paying a running back and paying a linebacker and letting 2 defensive linemen walk and an offensive lineman walk. That's what he meant by unconventional. And then he said later in the draft, later in the talent acquisition process, it's going to look a lot more like Eagles football. In other words, we're getting back to the trenches. We're getting back to defensive line, offensive line. So with that being said, with draft picks recently to Quinyon, Cooper, even Devontae Smith was a first-round pick who's not in the trenches, they're going back to the trenches. I have a hard time believing this pick will be anything but a defensive lineman or potentially an offensive lineman. So I'm not really buying into any of the other guys. Now, they could be. It could be possible. But me personally, I'm prepping for a defensive lineman coming to Philly in round 1.
And here's the last one I got here. Mikael Williams, Georgia, edge. Yeah. He could be the 8th pick, the 22nd pick, or the 36th pick.
I like him too. All good names.
What I'm doing here is to show people how NFL teams are looking at the board and how this is going to unfold here. Because when you're picking 32, Zander, you're at the mercy of the teams in front of you and their needs.
Yeah.
Some teams have philosophy on picking need, and some have the philosophy on picking best player that's available. I think after you get to 15, I think it starts falling into place where it's the best guy available to me. Because to me, I always have a problem with the teams, and teams like Arizona and teams like the Jets are always picking need. Now, look, like I pointed out, Cam Ward's going to go number 1. Cam Ward is about the 10th best prospect in the draft. You're telling me Tennessee's going to take the 10th best guy in a draft where quarterbacks aren't really that great this year, the number 1 pick, and you wouldn't take the best player available with all the holes there because you have such a need at quarterback?
I hear you.
That's the flaw in that mentality. Right?
No, I know you're not wrong, but this is a system that the NFL has, and it's not going to change. I'm not even arguing about the system, but you can't really knock the Titans. Like, what would you do if you're the GM there and you're coaching for your job and you're looking at Mayo boy Will Levis, who stinks on ice? You're like, I got to take the chance. Travis Hunter sounds great. Abdul Carter sounds great. They are great players who'd probably be here for 10 years and be major contributors. I need the dude that can change the franchise around, or I'm done. That's what I need. So you're going to draft Cam Ward there. That's what the NFL is, man. It's not for long, and you'll get moved on from quick. That's kind of where Sills, the Eagles, have a severe advantage right now. John talks about this all the time as well, where Howie can make the mistake of drafting Jalen Carter because he has that dispensation with the owner. The owner's not going to fire him, right, in 2 years if it doesn't work out. Other GMs, Ryan Poles in Chicago, who passed on Jalen Carter, they don't have that type of leeway with the owner to make mistakes like that. And that little bit of leeway that Howie has, I think, allows him to operate at a better level, take bigger risk, and his risk pay off more because of it.
I'll say this to you. I think that John Lynch had a job saved by Brock Purdy. Because you're right, dude.
I agree.
You said this morning. Hey, I don't give a shit that you landed on a 7th-round draft choice in Brock Purdy. I care you gave the equity of 3 1s up.
Right.
That's my future.
Right. I didn't agree with John or Jeff. They're like, well, typically if you landed on the quarterback, people don't care. I'm like, you don't care you gave up 3 1s? I care.
Dude, first round, giving up a 1 sucks. Giving up 3?
Dude, that's, again, like I said this morning,
3 years.
That's Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, and Jordan Davis. Or Devontae Smith, Jalen Carter, and Nolan Smith. Like, this is the future of the Eagles that you're talking about, that they gave up in those picks to get Trey Lance. They're suffering from the ramifications.
I completely disagreed with their takes on that. I get it. If you land on Trey Lance and you draft him and you use a 1 to get him and you land on Brock Purdy, that kind of covers that. Okay, or like this, when they missed on Jalen Reagor and then he went out and made a trade and got AJ, that kind of covers that shit.
Right. If it's 1-1, I agree. Because you're going to miss on draft picks. But
when it's 3-1, dude, you lost that thing.
3 1s. 3 first-rounders. I mean, that's crazy talk right there. But no, you're right, by the way, about Purdy saving his job. I think it's a good take by you. But here's the other thing. Is it Purdy that saved his job, or is it Shanahan, who really seems that his baseline for quarterbacks in his system is competent? Think about it. He's made every quarterback win. Every quarterback. Garoppolo, it didn't matter who was there. And not really any of them have been all that talented. No. I mean, I like Brock Purdy, but he's not the most talented guy in the world. I mean, I think he's a good game manager. I think he's a great in the system, but is that a credit to Brock or is that a credit to Kyle?
No, I think it's a credit to Kyle. I think it's a credit to Kyle. I think Kyle's problem becomes he starts to do the Marty Schottenheimer stuff. Once he gets into situations in ball games, I think he just overcoaches himself and he overcooks it, and he starts doing shit.
And this might be true as well, that Kyle Shanahan's the one that wanted Trey Lance. That might be true. So he's the one that saved him. He's also the one that got him into that bullshit.
I wonder how they landed on that. I bet you that was John Lynch at the very end that picked Brock Purdy there. So let me finish up with these edge guys here. So I got this kid from BC. How do you say his name? Donovan Izaraku. Izaraku. He's the 16th rated guy. I have him at 4.
It sounds like you'll be having a field day with his name if he comes to Philly.
I'm just going to call him easy. Mikael Williams, Georgia, number 26 is my ranking. Shamar Stewart. Hey, how in the world, Xander? You're an SEC guy. Does A&M not? How are they not better when you got two dudes that are going to go in the first round that
Dude,
are
because
your
he
edge
wasn't
rushers?
productive. He
Yeah,
wasn't.
no,
good
that's
anymore.
right. I said that.
I struggle with dudes like that,
Me
Sills.
too.
Bro,
Me
like I get it because and here's the thing, like that I think is true. The NFL team, if your athleticism is that good, NFL teams will take a gamble on the athleticism because you're in rarefied air of athletes. But I mean, I'm a game
Got to make
tape guy.
plays.
Like if you make plays in games and you don't grade great at the combine, that doesn't bother me as much as if you stink in games or you're unproductive in games and you're amazing in the combines. Like I'm a game guy. I want to see game production. That's my fear with Shamar Stewart and James Pierce, right? Everyone's like, oh, he didn't really test out that well. I'm like, the dude was uber productive though.
Yeah, yes.
When you put him in game situations,
Yep.
the guy made plays. You know, I
Yep.
think the one thing with the draft that people miss on, and I don't proclaim to be a draft expert. Believe me, I let the experts do the talking, and I'll react and discuss it with all you guys. But I think the thing that people miss a lot of times with the draft is they're so enamored by players and athleticism and traits and all these things. Like,
Combines.
I want situational fits. I want guys who are going to thrive in the Vic Fangio defense. I want guys whose skill set will work with, in our case, with the Eagles, or if you're the Niners with the Niners. Like I look for stuff like that, and that's where Shamar Stewart doesn't pass the eye test.
You turn on the tape, he gets lost in ball games, man. You're just
Totally lost.
He's just a guy in the crowd, man. I mean, the other guy, Nick Scourton, is more productive.
Yeah, he's good.
He's good. He's a good ball player. I mean, but when you watch this other
Rock is a good player.
What's that?
That Boston College kid's a good player.
Yeah, he is too.
He showed up, and now he played at BC, so maybe you could argue the talent wasn't as good. But I mean, he was visible on game tape. Yep. Izaraka.
Yep, just like that kid Green from Marshall's visible too.
Yeah, see, one thing I forgot about him when we talked about him earlier, I don't read into when guys get charges. Like I'm not like one of those guys that goes and reads it all day. I guess he's the guy that has 2 domestic assault charges. I didn't realize that was him when we talked about it a couple minutes ago. Howie's probably not drafting him.
No way.
Yeah, Howie's not touching him.
I get this. You want to hear something? I think you can get into really tough situations like Jalen Carter did. And if there's a reasonable explanation, I think you can get yourself still drafted. I think if you're beating women,
yeah,
it's got to be something that's
and
not.
I don't like indict. I don't like. I'm an American. I believe in innocent until proven guilty. But I don't know the nature of the charges, so I don't want to speak for one side or the other. But I'm just saying, from an Eagles perspective, I doubt Howie would dip his toes in domestic violence. Those are issues that I don't see the Eagles going into.
Yeah, because you know why? I don't see the owner signing off on that.
Me neither.
I mean,
hey, remember
Michael Vick,
Jalen Carter. I mean, now I think
who's the receiver? Riley Cooper?
Riley Cooper, exactly. I think a lot of these circumstances are very different, but the owner has showed a propensity to give second chances. You know, very much so. In fact, I think he's one of those guys who likes to be at the forefront of giving second chances and making it work, like he did with Michael Vick. So I wouldn't rule it out completely. I don't know the nature of the case, but they'll have Big Dom do their homework, and if it's somebody they like, they'll go and get him. But I doubt it. Don't
you agree right now? It's edge, DT, OT, and tight end. Those are the top 4 priorities. You're moving off Goddard, edge, DT, OT, tight end.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that looks like with the name, but I think that's the rooms that they're in. And I think those 4, again, just like with the draft picks, that can evolve because once you get down to 32, if there's an edge, DT, OT, or tight end that they really love, they may take that guy or trade out or down or up to get the player that they like. When you're down at 32, could there be somebody really down there? Because I heard you say about trading up. Xander, do you really think the Eagles at 32 really are going to fall in love with somebody that much with the last pick in the draft to move up? I think it's move out and down to try to acquire more picks so that they can leverage that next year.
That's
or
definitely
maybe even in later rounds this year, 2, 3, and 4.
That's definitely more likely. I understand that. When I brought that up on the show, you know, sometimes I'm not saying you, but I don't think people get what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get John to Like, I know I know that they're more likely to trade down. I think everybody knows that. The point would be, in what scenario would the Eagles view a trade up as reasonable? Kind of like you framed it to me a couple minutes ago here, where like, would they value this guy enough to package a trade to go get him? I think because they want to extract value, they would trade up if they like the player enough, but the board would have to fall to him. The board would have to fall the right way.
All right. Are you ready for the first installment of the Big Sales 2025?
Yes, I'm ready to write them down.
Early bold predictions. Here we go. Number 1, the Philadelphia Eagles will win in 2025 11 ball games.
Trash. That's a trash prediction.
I do not believe their defense yet. And we'll see.
You didn't believe it last year.
I know.
I believe Vic, and I believe the core is coming back. 11 wins is a bullshit prediction. Go ahead.
All right. I got 11 wins, baby. Number 2.
Yeah, Super Bowl champions. 11.
The Washington Commanders will win the NFC East this year. Last year, they made it all the way to the NFC title game. And what would they get? 12 wins this year?
What a bad prediction.
They got 12 wins this year.
Fine. Yeah. A rookie sensation quarterback.
By the way, your team took more of a step backwards than the Commanders did.
Dude, they signed a bunch of old head 30-plus-year-olds.
Their team didn't get better. A bunch of young guys.
Adam Peters had one cute, good offseason. Everybody called, the next coming. Adam Peters. He's done shit. Every move he made this offseason was trash.
And you signed a bunch of trash cans. At least these guys are
Wait. Why did we sign trash cans? Because our team was actually so stacked with talent that our 19th, 20th, 21st, and 22nd starters left the building, and we're all in shambles. Meanwhile, the Commanders can barely field a good football team. They have $100 million in cap space, and they still sign trash cans.
And you took a blowtorch to the number 1 ranked defense.
No, you didn't.
How you doing?
No, if we got rid of Carter and Nolan, I'd say yes, but they didn't take a blowtorch. The Commanders didn't get better. Their moves stink.
Milton Sweat, C.J. Gardner, Slay, Isaiah Rodgers, and your swing linebacker who started.
You understand that the chance that Jaden Daniels duplicates what he did last year is very slim.
I'll tell you what, there's a better chance of him duplicating what he did a year ago than you duplicating being the number 1 defense with
I don't
5
disagree with
starters
that.
gone.
I don't disagree with that, but I think our offense is going to be good again. Our offense was a top 10 offense.
Your offense was a top 2 running attack and 30th in passing.
I don't give a shit. The overall offense was top 10.
Okay, yeah. You were
doesn't matter how they get the yards.
You were one-dimensional.
Wait a second. You're telling me, old school, bench 550 pound, put your face in the dirt and go and crush somebody in the defensive line, Big Sills, is gonna cry about how we get the yards? Who gives a shit? They were a top 10 offense last year. Who cares if they get them running or throwing? What is this, a beauty pageant or football? You sound like NBA guy. My favorite thing is basketball, right? What do they teach all the young kids now? Go for the swish. Go for the swish. Yo, kid, use the backboard. It works 99 times out of 100. But everybody wants to be pretty. Everybody wants to be cute. Everyone wants to be the prom queen. It's bullshit, Sills. They were a top 10 offense.
Let's move on. Number 3.
Shit.
The Eagle tight ends.
Commanders win the NFC.
Will combine for a total of 4 touchdowns this year.
I like that one. That's lofty. It might get less than that. If Goddard's gone, we're cooked.
Number 4, in Big Sil's Eagle predictions for 2025, Saquon Barkley will rush for under 1,400 yards this year. I think, you know why? I still think his yards per carry will be 6.2. I think they're going to do more running with Hurts and more running with this kid, A.J. Dillon. I still think
I don't like that take. I do. I'm not going to sit here and say he's going to go over 2,000 again. I mean, it just doesn't happen like that.
Dude, do you know if Derrick Henry broke a record that had stood in the NFL where, get this, Derrick Henry's the only guy to have 3 years of going over 1,500 yards in his career. For Saquon to do that again is pretty lofty.
here's the other thing. If you look at that list of 2,000-yard running backs, the 9 names, and then you look at who tried to repeat, and then you even look at Derrick Henry. Who had the best offensive line of all of them? I think the Eagles.
He did.
So I think the Eagles' offensive line is going to tilt the scales. Saquon clearly still has a lot of burst. He doesn't look like he's aged, at least not yet on the field.
No, he's about in the middle.
I think he's going. How about this? I'm not saying he's going to go 2,000 again, but I think he's going to go over what you put. I think he's 1,700 yards.
That would be. It would be in a conversation where you have to start throwing Hall of Fame back in his face again if he ends up doing some shit like that. By the way, we will read all the super chats here in a second here too. There's another one.
Senor. He wants these takes on an Excel spreadsheet. Well, I got him on the Z notebook, but I'm circling. Don't worry, I got my red pen here. Very few things get the red pen in the notebook. This is going to get the big circle. We'll revisit these bold predictions often. You know, Silio's in a new world now where I will be holding him accountable for these brutal bold takes.
These will be right on and spot on. Okay, get this. In the 4 years that I made these predictions, I've had one shit year. The rest of them have been spot on, even picking your asses.
So you're batting 700 and you're batting 700 and still
like
feeling
Nick.
Good.
I'm like Nick.
Yeah, I see that.
Okay. Jalen Hurts, once again, will fall short of 4K passing and 30 touchdowns passing.
I agree with that. He's just not that cool. He's just not, it's not how he plays. It doesn't bother me, but it bothers people who like to be the prom queen. I get it.
Yeah. Number 6. This is going to be a good one. Jalen Hunt will have more sacks than the coveted Nolan Smith at 6.5 sacks this year. He will have more sacks than Nolan.
And you put the number at 6.5?
Yeah.
The fuck would you don't think Nolan Smith is worth a shit?
I think Nolan Smith's a good ball player. That's it. I'm with John. I think he's good.
I'm with John. No, I'm with John. I'm with the reporters. I got to see it more than 9 games. Dude, what are you talking about? 4.5 sacks in 4 playoff games.
Oh, wow. He was such a stud.
Okay. 6.5.
Here's another one. Number 7. Here you go, Junior. Moro Ujoma will make the Pro Bowl.
Ooh, that's one I really like.
Got him making the Pro Bowl.
I'll tell you what, that'll go up in flames if they draft Walter Nolan, but I still like it.
Number 9. Jalen Carter will have under 10 sacks at 9.5.
I don't hate that. He gets a lot of sacks, but I don't hate that prediction. I think he's going to be an impactful player no matter what, but I got you.
Number 10. Cooper DeJean will make the All-Pro team.
Ooh, you're really high on Coop.
Yeah.
He might be your favorite young Eagle based on what I hear.
Besides Carter.
Cooper DeJean to make you said what, Pro Bowl? Or
All-Pro? He's going to beat Kyle Hamilton out.
Wow.
I think
that's a bold one.
He reminds me. I know. Don't worry. He reminds me of Kyle Hamilton. Relax, Elizabeth.
What she saying?
I don't know.
Big Sills has committed crimes on the ears of Eagles fans all over the world.
Hey, I even admit that I committed.
And some of those bold predictions from last year are preposterous. In fact, I went back on the channel and considered deleting them because I didn't want the Jacob brand on those awful takes.
Hey, Zander, I committed a felony in takes last year.
You did. At least you can admit it. You did commit a felony, man. But it's rare for you.
I did. But so here, Eagles win 11 games. Washington wins the East. Eagle tight ends have 4 total touchdowns. Saquon, by the way, when I say Saquon's under 1,400, I think he's right at that number, though. Number 5, Jalen Hurts once again continues his lofty passing career at under 4K and under 30. He'll never throw for 30 touchdowns and 4,000 yards. I'll make a bold prediction for his career. He'll never throw for 4K.
Just call him Prom Queen Sills, everyone.
Do you think he ever throws for 4K?
He's the prom queen. He wants to be the prom queen. He doesn't want to show up and win. He just wants to be the prom queen. All right? That's what Sills
Get you
wants.
paid, Junior.
Yeah, he's paid. He's paid.
Well, he'll never make more than old Joshy.
Elizabeth says she was Sorry, Elizabeth. We love you.
Oh, God almighty. She's really on fire.
Wait a second. I can't believe you.
What do you mean?
How do you fall from 550-pound macho bench presser, to I want to be the prom queen? I don't want to be the best. I want to be the prettiest. That's what you're saying to me. What happened?
I'm just talking about trying to have a decent, balanced offense.
I think Big Sills doesn't have a son. He lives with his wife and his daughter. I think that's getting to his head. He wants to be the prom queen. Hey. He's around it, and his Aunt Betty, your wife and your daughter. Have they influenced you to want to be the prom queen?
I think so, man. Here, listen. I'll say this to you.
Actually, I'm not buying that. I'm not buying that the Sileo women don't want to be the prom queen over they want to win.
My wife believes in running the ball.
Yeah, I figured that.
Yeah,
so you're the prom queen of the house.
She believes in running the football, man.
I would like to believe your rugby playing.
By the way, I'm going to give you. Yeah, listen, I'm going to give you a little insight here. So when Derrick Henry went in the second round, my wife looked at me right away and went, "How's that happening?" Remember this. They'll regret that. My wife said that at night of the draft.
Yeah.
When he got drafted in the second round, because she saw him leap over that guy for them. Remember, he leaped over somebody in a ball game when he was at Bama. And she's like, he's that big and he's that.
He was crazy good at Bama, man. He was crazy good.
She went like this. Well, that will never happen. I think every Alabama running back ever since then has been number one. They gone in the first round because of what he's done. All right. So my last ones here will be this. What's the biggest strength you see on this team?
It's a good question. I thought I was listening to the segment when you asked this in the open. I thought some people had some good comments. I think it's pretty clear what the strengths of this team are right now. It's your offensive line and it's your running game, because all the things in that department have returned. Jeff Stoutland's returned, with the exception of Mekhi Becton. Everything is coming back in that department. So you feel good about the offensive line. You feel really good about the running game. Everywhere else has a little bit more questions than it did, 2 months ago. All right. And I think it's fair to say that. So I think at this point you have to go with those are the strengths of the team. The other thing I thought that someone brought it up in the chat. I'm sorry, I don't remember who it was, but they brought up the assistant coaches and the positional coaches. And that's a big strength for a team that has had a lot of coaching turnover in the last couple of years. Even on the offensive side, I know we lost Kellen Moore, and you lost Doug Nussmeier, but other than that, everybody's back. On the defensive side of the ball, you got Vic, you got Clinton Hurt, you got blanking on the Bobby King. You got all the Christian Parker. Everybody's returning, and I think for our coaching staff that just saw the number one defense, saw a Super Bowl, I think that's a big advantage for this team moving forward as compared to the Lions. Their entire staff just got purged. So I think that's a big advantage for the team.
I just had an I Love Brother Hannibal who posts shit on my X account here. And I guess there was a guy doing some radio down in Houston, and his name was Seth Payne. And he was talking about Vic Fangio, who was the defensive coordinator from 2002 to 2005 with the Texans. And he said this, I'm quoting, Vic Fangio probably made me an extra few $1 million because he completely just transformed me as a player. He has the innate ability to take what I don't do well and expand it to make me do better. He goes, he coaches your deficiencies and not your strengths. And that's a rare thing when you can motivate people to show how, when you can show somebody an easier path to get to success, that's so rare. And I think, again, maybe that's what they're looking at also in Philadelphia with these other guys they're bringing. Because let's put it this way, Zander, all those dudes that they signed, you mean to tell me Vic can't fix one of them?
Oh, he's going to fix one of them.
I believe that.
There's a better chance he fixes one than none. Come on.
What level, though?
Yeah, that's the question. And how many of them, right? Is 1 out of 9 a contributor? Is 3 out of 9 a contributor? What's the realistic expectation? And I think there's I don't know, Adoree. I like Adoree because he's obviously played at a high level before, maybe in his zone system where Vic, helps him out, makes his job a little bit easier. I think he could thrive in the secondary if Keely Ringo doesn't win the job. I happen to like Josh Uche more than most. I know people are more high on Aziz. I like them both, but I think Uche in this system can be something.
With a glimmer of hope, the 10-sack thing gives him it gives him a little bit of doubt that he can do it. That
Right.
he can.
It shows you that he has done it. Right.
He has. Right.
It's in there somewhere. Can you unlock it is the question.
Remember, his coordinator was Bill Belichick when he did that.
Right.
Okay. So maybe with Vic, he can also do that. All right. Last question here. Then we'll get to the supers. Let me ask you this here, Zander. What's the biggest problem on the Eagles right now? What is the biggest weakness in your opinion? Is it just lack of experience on defense?
I know they're young, but I mean,
as a group, don't look at one guy. Look at the group.
The weird part about this young group is they're an experienced group of young guys. Now, they don't have the experience of 30-year-olds, but for your 24, 25, Jalen Carter, think about this, is 23, Sills. He's got a Super Bowl ring, a national championship, and I mean, he's already an all-pro. Think about that.
He's not
Nolan Smith is 24.
He's not even starting his prime yet.
That's what I'm saying. So you do have Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell are going into their second season. They just saw a Super Bowl. Cooper DeJean just got a pick six in the biggest stage in football, in sports in the country. Forget football.
I'm talking more about the replacements in a
Yeah, I get it. I think that's probably the
Sidney Brown. Who's going to play the other corner?
Yeah, I like what Ray says. How about depth? I mean, because remember, you lost Fred, you lost Oren, you lost Isaiah. Those are good. Those were guys. Fred Johnson played 600 snaps last year. So
wow. I didn't realize he
was it 400 for him and 600 for Isaiah? Let me look.
It's I think it was
either way, 400 plus for Fred's a lot.
That's a lot of snaps. I didn't realize he played that many.
Yeah, let me look it up. I think he was 600 because I think Isaiah Rodgers was 400 plus.
I thought he was 419. We're counting the playoffs.
Yes, 419, and then if you count special teams, which doesn't really. I mean, he was almost 600. So, let me look up Fred. I'll look up Fred real quick.
Oh, that's a lot of snaps.
It's a lot of snaps, bro.
For
a lot of snaps.
I disagree.
612 snaps.
I didn't realize dude, and I disagree with John. You got a guy $5 million a year. Now you get a chance to go start in Jacksonville. And if you prove it, he'll sign you to a $15 million deal. Come on, bro.
He had 485 snaps on the O-line and 115 on the field goal extra kicks on the special teams plays. So maybe they're not worth as much, but still 485 on the O-line is a lot of snaps, bro.
You see inside the hash marks, man. As far as I'm concerned, that's experience.
Yep.
Let's get some of these supers here and then.
Yeah, I got to run, bro. You're holding.
I got you, man. Absolutely. Awesome day today, guys. Thank you guys so much. Please hit that like button.
Yeah, that's the thing. I want to get these seggies up. Brian Pumper, what's up, brother? Bold prediction. A.J. Brown starts a new book club by week 3, and Super Bowl champion Tanner McKee throws for 650, 10 tutties, 0 picks.
Hey, there you go, Brian. Back to being with Big Sills.
Yeah, Pumper, what are you, Dr. Seuss? You writing a fairy tale book? What is this, Brian?
Don't worry, Brian. Our predictions this year coming through.
I mean, what are we writing here, Brian? A kid's book, an imagination kid's book? Fucking Pumper. Jason 18. What up, Jason? Jacob, best channel on YouTube. Say it again. Let's go. Another bold prediction. Sidney Brown and Ed Reed Blankenship will borderline be Pro Bowler this season, and Q will be named All-Pro. I'd like to make an announcement following this super chat. I meant to say it earlier. I will be rebutting Sills' bold predictions with 10 bold predictions of my own on the show either tomorrow or Wednesday. Let's do tomorrow, Tuesday, March 25th, to rebut Big Sills.
Good.
What do you think of Jason's predictions?
At Sidney Brown, no. Reed, yes.
Sidney Brown, no. Reed, yes. And Q, yes.
Yeah, Q, yes.
I'm
Yeah.
out of town, Sidney Brown. Jason A. team again.
Thank you, Jason.
Yeah, thank you, bro. Bold prediction, Pumper. Over under on horrible takes this year will be 289. I'll say under only because he is hilarious. On a serious note, another bold prediction. Jordan Davis gets an extension for more than we expect. Jacob number 1.
Hey, how about this? I'm hearing that they're not going to pick that 5th-year option up.
Are they going to extend him at $18 million a year?
They don't pick that extension up.
Fred Johnson played more snaps than Jordan Davis.
I got laughed
Defense
at.
got better, though.
You got to have a nose, though, dude, to play that defense. You just can't put a stiff in. Hey, dude, I'll tell you what. If they don't pick that 5th-year option up, you know for a fact, and if that comes out even more so emphatically, you know they're taking a DT at 32.
We'll see. Brian Pumper, do we get these? Bold prediction. Kevin Patullo is fired by season's end. Hire Press Taylor to interim OC. Come on. Press Taylor? They're not bringing Press Taylor back.
Oh, man, come on, man.
How would they bring Press Taylor back?
Not bringing Press Taylor back.
Kyle Kokorski, Sills, my prediction, A.J. Brown gets traded.
No way, not this year, next year.
We got Joshua Ojulari. Did you get that one?
Yeah, we got that.
Yeah, all right. All right.
Hey, all right, Zander.
I run at 6 p.m., so my clips are going to be delayed because Sileo kept me to the finish.
All right, let me go, man. I got to do it
now. I appreciate it. What a great show. Great segment. Love coming on the National Football Show. Thank you, brother.
You got it. Anytime, man. I love having you on here with us, man. By the way, don't forget our great friends at Morgan & Morgan, #1 injury law firm in the country, folks, with over $20 billion recovered for their clients. Pennsylvania, I told about the family that had $650K offered to them initially by an insurance company. They ended up getting $26 million for that family. Another family, $350K. They got $12 million. Thousands of attorneys from coast to coast. This is what Morgan & Morgan does. For more information, do me a favor. Please check them out at forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. That is forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. And do me a favor. You tell them Big Sales sent you.